And we are live, Martin from the Philippines, and we're here in Real Talk Lifeline, bringing it at you. So, 11:59 p.m. I just wanted to get this live in before the day ends, and 3, 2, 1, here we go, man. So, live. What's the topic of the day? Topic of the day is being ugly versus maxing out ourselves. So what is that? So what's this live inspired by? So let me show you. So I saw this video just last night, and let me flip my camera here in a second. It was about this sharing about being ugly, and just so you know, 23 minutes. This guy, man, it takes so much guts, vulnerability to open up, and I understand why this video got 17 million views. This guy was just openly sharing his story, and you can see like the reality of it. So some quick disclaimers. He did mention that there are people who actually have it worse than him, but from what you've seen just some moments ago there, the way this person looks, he was really demonstrating like he had loose skin, etc. like that. It's real. I understand. that if you go through that video, it's very raw, meaning the feedback that girls or other people would say him, literally they would say that he's ugly. So it's pretty heavy, and it's pretty like, wow, like it's just out there, like this is real. So I'm not denying it at all. So that side of being ugly, again, which this video I just recently saw, it's real, and he narrates a story about it, his experiences, etc. Again, he did mention that he's not the one who has it worse. There are actually people who are like handicapped, disabled, or they have it worse than him. So just so you know. So why is it being ugly versus maxing out ourselves? As I was going through that video, that the 23 minutes, there are sides wherein it's really real. Like some of us can relate to that growing up. We got harsh words, harsh feedback from people. Now, the way I would connect to that, if people don't believe this, again, I'm just sharing my side, my personal experience. So I grew up not the worst looking. So someone might say, no shit, genius. And I'm not saying I'm the best looking either. So why would I say that? Earlier tonight or a few hours ago, super random moment, I meet a friend. Two other guys drop by in the moment, and they're better looking than me. Meaning, it's to the degree where I would feel insecure about my looks next to them. So I'll just keep my story short on this. Not the worst looking, but I did grow up with low self-esteem, low self-worth. So what does that mean? Even back in college, however you look, or like that guy in the video, for example. So I'll give you a quick view again. I actually wouldn't mind hanging out with him on a looks level, because there are people back in college. Again, I'm just trying to keep this as real, raw, and unfiltered as possible. Thank you, Jet, for the the support in this live. So back in college, I would hang out with certain people, and even though, again, this may sound mean, just like when you watch that video, just bring it at you straight up. They would say, why would you hang out with her? You know, she looks like a whale, shamu, all that shit. They could say really mean things. My reason was, I felt okay hanging out with that person because, to me, myself, I felt like I looked the same. We were just the same. So if I hang out with this guy, it's because I would see like, hey, I don't know if my the way I see myself is distorted like that, but it's like, hey, mate, we're the same. We're the same. So the difference now in the sharing, when I say maxing out ourselves, is I'm just sharing what has been working for me in my life. Practical tips is to overcome that. It's not a comparison. Like some people will really have it hard. naturally look good. So I don't want to jump around all the place. People are in different spots. There's a way to still maximize your looks. I don't know what's worse. Maybe you have a good looking person and then they think they look like shit. So I really don't know. It's not a comparison anymore. So let's focus on a solution here, right? This is what this live is about. So practical tips that work for me. When that guy was sharing about being ugly, the things that kind of felt heavy or hurt for me was there were parts, again, he was just openly sharing his experience. It's not to compare anything, it's just a reference. So he would go out with girls, and even though they would treat him badly, he would still stay with them. Even though if they say really harsh things like you're ugly, the worst line I heard was one of the girls told him that you're unlovable. And imagine this guy, like I watched the 23 minutes. One of the girls told him to his face, you're unlovable. So I'm not saying like it's not real, right? Like looks don't matter. They do. And this person was sharing his personal experience. Now what helps though, again shifting practical tips at work is, all right man, maybe your life is stacked against us, we have a little hard time. For me it's like my social skills, maybe it's my self-esteem, self-worth. What I learned earlier tonight, like a few hours ago, was we can have high quality problems or low quality problems. And again, I'm not lessening or saying that problems aren't real of certain people. So what we can do if people say like, Martin, are looks really an issue for you? Maybe it's on different levels or degrees. So there are times you're seeing me on a good hair day, actually. Like what I mean by a good hair day is not literally just a look. It's I feel good in my skin. There's some days someone said I look like Manny Pacquiao. And for people who don't know, in the Philippines, that's not really a compliment in the looks department. And then there are times when I grew my beard real long, uh, I look like a terrorist. I think one of the worst comments I got was I look like a rapist. So I'm not. Some people say, "Dude, you're good looking and all." Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. Again, in the story I shared earlier, a few hours ago, I was next to two good-looking guys. That would make me feel insecure. So what can we do, right? What can we do? How do we max out ourselves, which is what the live is about? So one is I mentioned like, well, good hair day, right? Find a hairstyle that suits you. Now I get it's challenging, maybe for some people, aesthetically. Really, like, man, sometimes if your hair is patchy, falling apart, long like that, it may be harder for some, right? Now I've seen guys, they don't look good or whatever, beautiful, handsome, whatever you want to call it, but they shave their head. It worked for them. They look extra masculine. Sometimes you experiment, meaning I had no idea what hairstyles were, like the fades, like it's shaved, whatever. You could maximize that. You could find a hair that suits you. Like when I was growing up, default hairstyle was kachupoy. Like what the fucking the middle part. Like you look anyways, like for those who get it. You can experiment and you could still optimize or maximize your looks that way. Next is optimize what I can. The guy did mention this in the video. He started exercising. So most people will say lose weight. That's not the best advice for a skinny person. And I could relate to him because I grew up skinny with a belly. So sometimes a better way of saying it is to start working out, exercising, getting healthy like that, which he did. And to be fair to this guy, he actually did get laid at some point. So he was using alcohol, he was drinking, but he had a moment there. If you watch that video of him where he had some form of success, because there are people who have it worse, right? And then even for me as an introvert, like an INTJ, when I took the Myers-Briggs personality test, introvert, thinker, homebody, nerd, geek, right? Gamer, just playing video games like that. Well, what can I do, right? Earlier I made an effort today to get out of the house. Now for some people, it takes a great effort to even just get out of your bedroom. Get out of the basement or get out of my cave, right? So that alone would help a lot. Why? So now this guy's video was about being ugly or looks. What I've been learning over the years is in that lower level problem, again, this is not to like rate people or compare anything. There are higher paradigms or levels. And by the way, that guy was a pretty smart guy. Like he could come up with algorithms. He had his own intelligence or gifts, right? That he can max out or leverage on. So let's say if we grew up as a nerd, maybe lift weights. There's that saying, right? If you grew up as a jock, you were physically gifted, you had the looks. The way to max out is to read books, get a little smarter like that. If you were so socially gifted that you do well with people, and then you know how to just, man, blend with people, you had the gift of influence, you're good at sales like that, max out somewhere else, right? So you grow fully as a person. So why am I saying that? Focusing on maxing out ourselves, the tendency is the level of our life is also going to increase. And then if people think that looks are the biggest issue, one of my mentors in the center of my dream board, he's balding, he was like a nerd like that. You can overcome the looks issue. Now, if it's mostly men who are watching this at the moment, women will not get attracted to you by your looks alone. Could be a foot in the door, I won't lie. But then they actually base it more on your value. So if this guy is like, you know what, if people just loved ugly people, men or women more, that's not necessarily the solution. Because it's like settling for mediocrity or a lower standard. And again, that's not to be judgmental of looks. It's more on the effort that what I'm talking about. So increasing your value is not necessarily just through like hard manual labor. It's this. That guy increased his value just by putting himself out there. And I'm not even gonna stick to because he got 17 million views like that. Then he becomes famous, he gets status like that. There are other ways of becoming a better person. So start somewhere where you get that shift from being ugly, and I'm saying being ugly not just on the looks department. My being ugly was my low self-esteem, my low self-worth. And I know some people, their default is the polar opposite. They're naturally confident, even if they look ugly. Man, look, this guy named Jeremy Renner is watching my live. Man, I love that guy. He's a celebrity. So I love it. That boosts myself. It makes me feel good. It boosts my self-esteem. So that's focusing on maxing ourselves out versus being ugly. Again, being ugly is not just the looks department. It could be our personality, which he did mention in this video. It could also be on the way we work on ourselves, the way we add value in this world. So it's the human needs of Tony Robbins, right? Growth, contribution, significance, connection, love. So we can work on that as well. So for people watching the live or the replay, please, I would love it if you shared in the comments what has worked for you. If you could relate, like you were growing up ugly, people were calling you ugly, or maybe they even give you that line which was so harsh that you're unlovable. Type in the comments if you could relate. And can you also type what has worked for you? So how do we go from being ugly to maxing ourselves out? How do we find answers, solutions that help you get through it? So I just shared a couple of mine, which has been working for me in my life to this day, to up to this 36 years of my life in this world. And I'd love to hear yours as well. It won't help me only, it will also help other people who watch this live or replay. So please comment that down below. If you love this, please share it. Share it as well. Share the message. Share your advice, meaning in your experience, what has worked for you. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.